This, my friends,
Se acostó
this was
temprano,
the
mañana hay
fucking
que
dream.
estudiar.
Bad Bunny on the beach
Pero llamó la
by the
amiga
Pacific
diciendo pa'
Ocean
janguear.
with a sunset like that.
Tiene un culito ahí que la
So, welcome back to a new video on my channel. Today, I want to tell you guys a story. Probably the most impactful story I've gone through and felt in my life is because it's a personal anecdote that I want to share with you. And this is the story of how I ended up in Mexico. And, well, where do we even start? Because I've said this story so many times to myself, in my head, out loud, when I'm alone. And I felt that I needed to share with you guys as well, to inspire anyone who has a dream and anyone who wants to achieve something. That, you know, the essence is that basically when you believe in yourself and you want something so bad, God will make it possible. If you do the right things, He'll make it happen for you. And that just having faith and trusting in Him will be what gets you through it. So it's a long story, but I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. Essentially, over 2 years ago, I had the dream of going on exchange to Tec de Monterrey. Well, on exchange actually, in general, for a semester for my university back in Canada. And I had three options: two in Spain, one in Madrid and Malaga. And my third option was Monterrey, Mexico. And I had dreamt for 2.5 years. I worked summer jobs, actually worked with the city where I'm from, Mississauga, and that was actually my hat from my summer job, literally toiling out in the sun for 4 months, trying to save up money to be able to go on exchange. And, you know, when I take a look at the bigger picture of how I got there, it's incredible, because I really had no right to end up doing exchange in Mexico because of the whole pandemic issue. That was really the big thing that almost stopped it from going through. And, you know, long story short, 3 times my university tried to deny me and going on exchange. They said, no, it's too dangerous. We care about your health. You know, government of Canada is saying nobody's allowed to go. And they kept on making excuses and excuses. But I didn't believe it, because how about other universities around the world allowing their students to go on exchange, but us in Canada can't? So that was something that didn't make sense to me at all. And I didn't believe for 1 second, because how are you going to stop somebody that right to go and study in a different country for their education, and deny a student of the opportunity that they pay money to go to school for, and say you can't go there? It just doesn't make any sense. And so the worst news was when it was December, cold, mid-December. They already denied us twice. They came back a third time around Christmas time, probably the worst time you can give somebody bad news, saying that, oh no, look, you're not allowed to go on exchange because the situation has just been turned upside down completely because of the new variant that's come through. And so because of that, I was laughing when I saw that, because it's like, again they're trying to deny us. And so eventually I tried everything that I could, emailing as many people as possible, trying to reach the president of the university, trying to get a response. But they kept giving these blank statement, you know, kind of bureaucratic answers that you just know it's just, they just keep it somewhere on the side in their office and they just make it up. And they're just writing these generic emails. Generic is the word I should use. Generic emails to kind of calm us down. So I don't know if this was the thing that eventually allowed me to get through, or if it was the will of God. But my last shot that I tried was coming up with a survey through Google Forms. There was already a group chat established for Tec de Monterrey. So I already knew I was going to the Tec de Monterrey about 6 months ago. But it was kind of a back and forth of was I actually going to get there? So in that time, like I said, 3 times they denied me. After that time, I was just super annoyed, super annoyed. And so I just created this survey. I asked a couple of questions saying, like, you know, is your university doing anything to stop you from going on exchange to Tec Monterrey? And it's like on a scale of 1 to 10 basically. 10 of those questions, similar kind of questions, and the answers I got were pretty outstandingly saying no, the universities were not trying to stop them from going on exchange. So with that data that I provided from about 30 students from 15 different countries, I sent that off to my university, hope for the best, and yeah, that's where I came. Jan 20th, about a year ago, the news that my university finally let me go on exchange, and that was honestly like the best news I've heard in like over 2 years. And I mean, I'll never forget that moment, because it's like you work so hard to get to a place, and so many obstacles in your way trying to stop you from getting to the place that you want to get to. And you know, it's hard to put into words exactly what I think sometimes, but like when I look at the bigger picture overall, to anything you take from this video, it's sometimes you don't know what's going to happen, and you can't fully truly understand everything until you look at the bigger picture years, or well, these months or years later in time, and see that how many things kind of worked your way. And this just ties back to what I was saying, like having faith in God, because at that moment, after I sent the report, it was like, we've done everything we could, send it off, let's see what happens. And luckily it came through in the time I least expected it, because if you remember 1 year ago, it was like the peak of the pandemic with the new variant that had come out, and it worked. Like there were those weeks leading up to it, I was just having, I kid you not, like dreams, like kind of like of me like getting to Monterrey. I remember having dreams where I was like on a beach somewhere in Mexico, and like I'll kid you not, I'll show you the photo that I eventually, when I went to Mexico, I did go on a trip with some of my friends there. Literally the way I had imagined it in my head, not knowing if I was even gonna get to Mexico in the first place, happening in real life. And so many kind of other weird types of dreams, like me, like there was one that was like diving into like a lake, a deep lake, and you know when you search up like what they mean, sometimes you can kind of search up what you dreamt of and what certain symbols mean, and they were literally exactly what they meant, like that you're trying to search for something deeper, something, you're on the cusp of something great, but you just don't realize it yet. And that's exactly like that's exactly what happened. And so yeah, it's like one of those things that you just never know unless you try your luck and leave the rest up to God. And so yeah, when I look back 1 year ago, not knowing if I was even going to go to Mexico, and that exchange, you know, changed my life. You know, it gives you a different perspective of where you come from, different cultures, different people, different language, whole new system of doing things. And I think honestly the best thing people can do in their lives, if they ever have the opportunity, is to travel. And I'll always be an advocate for an exchange or travel, because it expands your mind, it opens your mind to a whole bunch of new things that you would never experience if you just stayed in one place. And it's why you always have to be striving for something better and something to improve yourself. And for 2 years, that was all I dedicated myself to. It was just everything I'm doing, my grades, my work, whatever I was doing outside, all in the focus of, I just want to get to Mexico, because pandemic was a bleak time and there was a little hope for a lot of people. And so you had to focus yourself on something much bigger, something much greater. And for me, that was my pursuit of going to Mexico on exchange. And so I'm so grateful that happened. I'm so grateful that the opportunity came to be. It was the best time of my life, best experiences. I wouldn't change it for anything. That's how certain I am of it, and how big of a milestone that was in my life, and how much that changed me as a person. And it's given me a lot more confidence to be who I am today. And like I said, open my mind and open my personality up when I was there as well. And so yeah, I would not change it for anything. You know, that experience itself, when I look back, sometimes I tear up a bit, because it's like it never almost happened, you know. And that's that's scary because I don't know how I might have been had I not gone on exchange. And I feel like I've grown because of it, and I've come out better because of it. And so, you know, from every moment, from like the 3 times it got cancelled to, you know, my first 2 choices being in Spain and not being able to go there, but then my 3rd choice, my last choice being Mexico, going there. It's just crazy. There's so many minor details in this whole story that it's impossible to mention. But if you're just to take away one message from this video, it's that when you're, first of all, never stop pursuing your dreams. When you want something so bad, I'm telling you, when you really truly believe it in yourself, that's something I never realized. Like, people always said that to me, and people always say that, but it doesn't make any sense until you actually do it for yourself, and you actually try to pursue whatever goal it is that you're trying to pursue, and you truly believe it, you truly internalize it. And for me, at least, like, there's a certain element that's not in our control, and that you have to give up to God. So once I did that for 1-2 years, dedicating myself to that, it was just, yep, nobody's gonna stop me. I know that if this is my goal, I'm sticking to it 110%, and there's nothing that's gonna stop me. And so, yeah, for that moment, for that whole experience, I wouldn't change anything for it. So, yeah, that's my anecdote, my story about Mexico, the trip, exchange trip that changed my life. And if any of you guys are students and want to do an exchange, I highly recommend it because it will change your life forever. You'll meet people that you never thought you would meet. You'll come across interesting characters, people, cultures, traditions. You'll come out better for lack of any other word. You'll come out a better person from this. And so, yeah, that's just my short, tried to keep it as short as possible, video on my exchange and how I got to Mexico. And yeah, hopefully there are more adventures to come, and keep pursuing those dreams, guys. Take it easy.